Okay, so it's time to move on to our second lesson, and that's about selecting columns. So for any of these lessons that I go through, you can just click on the related lesson name, and then all these lessons are here, and they're interactive in a Jupyter notebook. All right, so once we load in our data frame, so here's our data frame, the next thing that oftentimes you want to do is just select specific rows from the data frame to zoom in on them essentially. So let's see how we can select first just a single column. So we can do that. Let's see. One way to do that, say we just want the latitude column, is to say here's our data frame, and let's just select the latitude column, and we'll do that by calling dot latitude. All right. So we just do the data frame dot the column name. Now normally you won't see people select a column this way. Instead they'll select it with the square brackets. All right, so instead I'll do square brackets, string, latitude, right, the column name, and square brackets. And now this also selects that specific column. All right, so that's how we select a single column, is you simply do start with the data frame, then we'll have the square brackets, then we'll put a string of the column name. All right, now what if we want to select multiple columns? Let's take a look. So we'll start with our data frame again, do claims df, just select a few rows just to take a look at it. And let's say we want to select both latitude and longitude. Now you may think, I won't even talk about what you may think. Let's just show you how you do it. So we still use the square brackets, and then inside here you put a list of the columns that you want to select. So you have the data frame, then you have an outer set of square brackets, and then in here you put the list of columns to select. So we'll do latitude, comma, longitude. All right, and now let's take a look, and you can see this returns to me both of these columns. Let's see this again. One way that I sometimes like to do this is actually separate out the columns. So I'll show you what I mean. I will cut this here and paste it up top and call these my selected columns. So I have a list of columns, it's just a Python list, and then I'll put that list inside this set of square brackets. I just sometimes like it. I think it kind of communicates, okay, I'm about to select these columns, now I'll go ahead and do it. So we really saw the two different ways to select and zoom in on columns. We saw that we can do claims df dot latitude, but really what we'll do is claims df square brackets string the column name, or if we have multiple columns, then we can have to put in this inner list inside the square brackets. Okay, one thing that we should be paying attention to is what type of data is returned. So by that I mean, we start with the data frame. If we then are just selecting a single column, this is returning to us a pandas series, okay? If you instead select multiple columns, it looks different, right? And it is a pandas data frame. So whenever you select multiple columns, we're back to this data type that has both rows and columns, and that is a data frame. Whenever we are selecting just a single column, now this is more like a list of data, and that is a series. So, that's just something to pay attention to, because there are some methods that you have available on a data frame that you do not have available on a series, and vice versa. Finally, the last thing to show you is that when you're working with a data frame, lots of times it's just nice to get a sense of what columns are available to you. And for that, you can call on the data frame the dot columns attribute. And this is returning to you, look at this, it's actually an index, right? Because everything in pandas seems like is either a data frame, a series, or an index. And it's returning to you essentially a list of those columns. And then from there, you can say, okay, well, I really want to select these two. Claims df, square brackets, and then in here we put that list of columns, and this of course will return to us a data frame.